make sure you find the right image. And of course, working for a company or a country, it's important that everybody speaks more or less the same language. When you talk to several ambassadors, and that's what I do with the Diplomatic Council, to several ambassadors actually from the same country, sometimes it's really fantastic how they use equal photos, equal pictures. I mean, pictures also pictures in mind, actually, actual language, you know. So when you talk, for example, to an Indian ambassador, he will always talk about the largest democracy in the world, which is kind of easy to remember, actually. And that's what I want to say. It's important to make sure what image are you talking about before you start talking about it. Second point is, well, I come to the next. What image do you want? Of course, I mean, usually you have a ground, so you don't start from zero. You don't start from scratch, actually. But nevertheless, make sure what do you want? What do you want people to think about you? How do you want others to see you? And you again means you personally, or your company, or your country, or your organization. And why do you want that? I mean, do you want to attract, as a company, as a country, for example, you want to attract investors, you want to attract tourism, you want to attract special industries, logistics, or finance, actually. And what image is helpful to fulfill your tasks? So what helps you, if you're a company, what helps you in your business, actually? It's not always being well known. It's rather quite often thinking about what exactly is your target group. What do you want to do with the image? And then we are here. So image doesn't stand up for itself. I mean, it fulfills a task. So as a company, do you want to attract customers? Of course, every company wants, but sometimes in these days, especially, and in a lot of countries, it's much more important to attract professionals, actually. So to attract employees, to get the people there, actually. Which is the main task today in public relations, to make sure people love to work for your company. Well, I won't say even if you don't pay them a salary, but make them emotional about your company. They want to build, they want to be part of the future. If you're an HI company in these days, if you are OpenAI, or if you're Apple or so, people love to love to work for you. So that's a key part. What do you want, actually? Or you're just looking for international orders? Make sure when you think about your image, when you discuss your image, to get the right answers to these questions. And this is nothing you can have. I mean, I cannot give you the answers, of course, because they're totally different for different persons, different needs, different companies and brands and so on. But it's important to be very clear on that and put that into words, put that into sentences. And that doesn't mean books. It's rather, I mean, quite often you can answer this on one sheet of paper. I mean, sometimes it's 3 pages, but it's not a book. It's not a 100-pager. Quite often it's not more than a 10-page. I put it that way, actually. Well, that's a key to be successful at the end. Same as, what are your target groups? Customers, co-workers. I talked about skilled workers you need for your company. That's in a lot of, I mean, all the Western, all the industrial countries, it is quite a topic for a lot of companies. Are you looking for potential business partners? Which sort of business partners? Usually you don't, I mean, there are always business partners that are better for your company than others. Make sure you attract the right ones. And that's all about image, actually. How do you want to be seen, and how do you want to be seen by these target group? And that's what we do as in the agency on a daily basis, let's say on a weekly basis, actually, for customers, helping them to define that, actually. It's not just about, well, we want to have a good image. That's easy to say, but what does that mean exactly? And then we come to a point, what is your USP? It's called unique selling point, and I guess everybody has heard about that. but it's not about the selling point. It's rather what makes you unique, what makes you different to your competition. So why should you make business with Japan? Why should you travel to Japan? What for tourism? So as an example, so what is different to you and what is unique? And make sure that your USP is very easy to understand. I mean, I think it was the first speaker saying, well, I was the ambassador actually, yeah, Japanese ambassador saying there are so many, we are overcrowded with, overflooded with information actually. We can't get through all of that. So the easier you put your USP, the easier to understand. It's not what you want to say, but rather what you want others to understand actually. The easier you put that, the easier they will understand and they will follow you. So it's the USP in your target groups with the image you want. And I mean, I've seen, I'm running that agency now for decades actually, and I've seen big companies, well, I won't name them, but I have seen really large companies. And when you come into them as a consultant, you would expect them to have done all this kind of homework, basic homework, but quite often it's not. But that is this is the key to find easy to understand answers, clear answers to that questions: USP, image, target groups. The fourth, whatever you claim as a USP, make sure that you have some facts. So these are some facts about the agency: European Marketing Communication, Euromark PR, 40 years PR in Germany. That's where we started. 20 years PR worldwide. And of course, 10 years social media. I think it's now even 12 years or so. But that are just a few key facts. But 40, 20, 10, that's quite easy to remember. Whatever your USP is, make sure that you deliver a few facts, a few numbers. Like I said, I mean, when you talk to any Indian ambassador, you will always hear, not just once, largest democracy of the world. Easy to remember, easy USP in a way to kind of get attached to that country. And this is just one example. I mean, that's true for all countries, for all companies, but make sure you communicate that. Give them a few facts, but only a few. It's not about having a list of 100 points, why to come, or why to invest, or why to buy a product, or why to use, or why to go, you want to go to that company as an employer, as an employee. Make sure it's easy. But as I said at the beginning, also make sure it's not just an image. Be a spin doctor for what you want to say. Help people to interpret the image. Make sure, or the photos, the graphics actually, make sure they understand. And here we come to the, most of you might know the Pareto rule. Make sure, I mean, it's not about talking about everything. Focus on the usually 20%. I mean, the Pareto rule is like 20% is important for 80% of your business, or of your, whatever the business is actually. Focus on that 20%. Focus on what is really important. A lot of people, when you talk to companies, it's, when I ask them, well, what are you doing? And then I get a list, and then I say, okay, I understand you build that and you build that. And then, no, but we also have, and sometimes we have a client, and from time to time, and in that country, we have something special. And at the end, you have a list of, again, 20 things or 100 things, which is not helpful. Yeah, write down an ideal description, how people want to describe you or your company or your country. Make sure you focus on that 20% that are really important. If they are really interested, they will ask you about the 80%, the rest of it. And of course, then we're happy to answer, but don't overload them with information. Make sure it's always easy to understand. that's the key from my experience. Whenever you talk, whenever we help as an agency, whenever we help clients to become successful, this is the point. This is sometimes easier if you are an external, because it helps you to kind of cut off the 80% that is not needed. Of course, at the end, it's about you. I mean, trying to get an external look on you personally, on your company, on your country, on your organization. Sometimes that's not so easy to see oneself from an external look. That's why I'm saying an external, an agency or a consultant. Sometimes this is easier to see actually strengths and weaknesses, and also the competition. I mean, because I mean, at the end, image is not just what you are or what you want to be or what others see in you, but also compared to others. And of course, for every human, I mean, the world is going around me. That's the sort of nature of a human. But of course, for others, you are in a row. There's a lot of competitors for whatever you do. So it's not just about what your image is and what you want others to think about you and how to judge you, but also what is your competition in a way. And so this is a key point. This is about also, as I said here, credibility, which is again about competition. So it has to be, people have to follow you, what you're talking about. Set up a platform with your image, which does not mean that you're creating a website. Of course, everybody has. You don't have to create that. But the point is, I mean, make sure that your image is on all these digital platforms, actually. Yeah. So it's a website, and I mean, you got a lot of here to click. See here. Here's a little film. Here's an image to see. This is nice. This is latest news. Quite often, it's really hard to find what in general is it this is about. I mean, if you're a company like Apple, you just write Apple and everybody knows. But most of the companies and most of us are not Apples and are not that famous that everybody knows. So it's important to make it visible, and again, find the right words, not so many, please. Create an image in all these digital platforms. Of course, social media. These are the one I picked for most of our clients. They are the important one. LinkedIn for business. Facebook, you might argue that's only for sometimes people, or Instagram again, putting what they eat and drink on and so on, and some funny photos and so. But especially on Facebook, I was surprised when I found out. But there are a lot of diplomats actually, because this was when you might remember when in some countries like Tunisia, what is called the Arab Spring, actually, there was a lot of communication about Facebook, actually, and so a lot of ambassadors felt that, well, Facebook's kind of, they can destroy a government, so you better follow on Facebook, because this was new at that time. And a lot of diplomats stayed with Facebook, because once you get used there, not so many posting, but reading, actually. YouTube is an important part of it, and it's good to use it. TikTok, you could argue again, but I can see more and more quite, let's say, business or mind-changing videos on TikTok, which means if they are referred by the Wall Street Journal, this was seen on TikTok, this video, this means then it's, like it or not, and it's good to at least consider to do something on that. So also important, I mean, it's not nice to talk about yourself, how great you are. Find others to talk about your image. So you speak only better if you ask about your image, but find others. So this can be business partners, customers, suppliers, co-workers, but creating an ecosystem. So that's a good way to do it, actually. Find selected multipliers. That's what we do, for example, in the Diplomatic Council, which is think tank, business network, and charity foundation. But you might also find universities, research institutions, other NGOs, think tanks, business schools, whatever. But make sure that it's not only just you talking about how great your company is, how great you are. Oops, sorry. But also make sure that you find others to talk about that. Write a book, maybe. That's one I was involved in, actually, about it's all German, 75 years United Nations. We're looking for the next 5 years, 3 now left, actually, for the next edition of this book. Or become a lecturer in educational functions and educational institutions. Make sure you use that. It's good to receive prizes, but it's even better to award prizes. So if you get the Nobel Prize, that's fine. But I mean, if you're Alfred Nobel and give the prizes, that's much better. It's something to really consider. Find an institution. You can see here the Diplomatic Council Gala. At that time, the ambassador, now the foreign minister of Croatia, Radman, very nice guy, who was in our one of our presidents on the Diplomatic Council, receiving this award here at the Diplomatic Council.